So if you've watched other American media outlets this week, you know for a fact there's no possibility the FBI could have had any foreknowledge of the events of January 6th at the U.S. Capitol, nor could anyone in the mob that stormed the Capitol have been in contact with the FBI before the event. We believe otherwise, given the FBI's long track record. Glenn Greenwald is one of the people who has been covering the FBI's behavior, particularly its anti-terrorism efforts, very closely for a long time. So we want to get his assessment, and we are right now. Glenn, great to see you. Thank you for coming on tonight. So give us some perspective. We're hearing that anybody who has questions about why 24 participants have not been charged on January 6th is a conspiracy monger and a lunatic and probably a soldier in the QAnon army. Is there, based on precedents, reason to ask that question, do you think?
Of course, the entire first war on terror, I regard this as the second war on terror, the domestic version. Yeah. The entire first war on terror contained very little other domestically than the FBI targeting people that they viewed as easily manipulated or otherwise vulnerable, implanting informants or other operatives within a certain ring of typically American Muslims, very young ones, encouraging them then to join a plot that was devised and designed by the FBI, often paying for it, the FBI was, to get the material and everything else, and then boasting about the plot that they broke up that was a plot that came from the FBI. The vast majority of times that you heard the FBI applauding itself for having stopped the terrorist plot domestically was actually a plot that they themselves governed and directed with informants and with operatives exactly of the type that we know for certain they put into the Proud Boys and the Three Percenters, two of the three groups they claim are behind January 6th. So the only way you could claim this is some kind of a crazy conspiracy theory is if you're either completely ignorant about what the FBI does or lying on purpose to cover up what the FBI does when it acts domestically.
But if you're a journalist, why would you ever lie on behalf of a law enforcement agent, government law enforcement agency? Why would you choose to protect the FBI over informing your own viewers?
I think this is the key point, Tucker, is the structure of pretty much all these outlets that are now serving a liberal audience in the United States, which is the Washington Post, the New York Times, CNN, NBC News, NPR. And it's not just me saying that, the data shows that. During the Trump years, the CIA and the FBI became overwhelmingly popular among American liberals. They worshiped the FBI and the CIA because they viewed it as the bulwark against Trump. So if you're serving a liberal audience, the last thing you know your audience wants to hear, and their audience is disappearing, so they're petrified of them, is anything that is questioning of or critical of the FBI. On top of which, all these news outlets are filled on their payroll with former operatives of the FBI and the CIA. So, for example, when CNN wanted to cover this story, who did they invite on? They said, let's get the truth, Chris Cuomo said. Here's my colleague, the former deputy director of the FBI. What journalist talks to the FBI to get the truth about the FBI when the question is the FBI being truthful or is their actions less than scrupulous? But these outlets are completely constructed to serve this worshipful view of the FBI and the CIA that everything that they say should never be questioned. That's what drove Russiagate for 5 years. So many of the false conspiracy theories that these outlets spread, and they're doing it again.
So they're openly serving institutional power against the population.
If you go and Google, and I hope your viewers do, Operation Mockingbird, what you will find is that during the Cold War, these agencies used to plot about how to clandestinely manipulate the news media to disseminate propaganda to the American population. They used to try and do it secretly. They don't even do it secretly anymore. They don't need Operation Mockingbird. They literally put John Brennan, who works for NBC, and James Clapper, who works for CNN, and tons of FBI agents right on the payroll of these news organizations. They now shape the news openly to manipulate and deceive the American population. So if you're an American wondering what foreknowledge and involvement did the FBI have in January 6th, if you go and listen to those networks, you're going to get lies because the only people they're asking are people who are serving those agencies and acting to disseminate disinformation. That's what those outlets are.
Man, that is shocking. Shocking to me. Glenn Greenwald, I appreciate your coming on tonight. Thank you very much.
Good to be with you, Tucker.
It does kind of make you wonder about Matt Gaetz, actually. Remember Matt Gaetz? He was engaged in child sex trafficking. We know that Matt Gaetz kind of went after the national security state repeatedly, and then they told us that he was a child sex trafficker. Maybe he is, we don't know. But if he is, why isn't he even charged yet? Anyone wonder that? Are you allowed to leak personal information, derogatory information against a sitting member of Congress because you don't like his criticism of you and then not charge him? What is going on here? Well, Oregon's neighbor to the south, of course, is California, and it's experiencing a crisis tonight. California officials have just alerted residents that they can expect, quote, rotating power outages Thursday evening. What? The biggest state in the country can't keep the power on? Yeah, because California has poured money into renewables as part of its Green New Deal, and they're not working. Kevin Falconer wants to fix the state of California. He's not fleeing. He's going to stay and fight. He's the former mayor of San Diego. He's running for governor now. He joins us tonight. Mr. Mayor, thanks so much for coming on. It seems like the most basic failure of all. You can't keep the power on? What is this?
Well, thank you, Tucker. It's great to be back with you. You're absolutely right. It's one of the most basic functions of a state government. And once again, Gavin Newsom continues to botch the basics. Can't keep the lights on in California. And by the way, it's not a surprise, Tucker. It keeps happening year after year here as one-party rule continues to fail our state. And then things like power, things like skyrocketing homelessness, crime that's rising in California. Once again, Gavin Newsom has absolutely no solutions and telling Californians, beginning of the summer, and seniors, don't use your air conditioning. It's just a failure on so many levels.
Why do people put up with it? I mean, these announcements always are accompanied with scolding, like it's your fault. You want your house too cool. You want too much electricity. Why do people keep electing Gavin Newsoms to office there?
Well, they're getting fed up. As you know, all of us know out here in California, and there's a reason why 2 million Californians signed that recall petition. That recall is now officially qualified in California. And oh, by the way, those 2 million folks, that was Democrats, Republicans, and independents, all folks who want a change at the top of California because they're tired of it. They want actual leadership, and they want somebody who's going to roll up their sleeves, the type of things like we did in San Diego, where we didn't allow tent encampments on the sidewalk, the kind of governor who's going to stand up and say it's not okay to have the lights go off in the summer, in the most innovative state in the country. And so, yes, we're fighting to get California for that California comeback, and that's what this election in California is going to be all about.
Man, I hope you can do it. And just the basics, like we'd like electricity, we don't want our parks to become open-air latrines, just basic stuff, like you can't shoplift. It's unbelievable. Good luck. Kevin Falconer, former mayor of San Diego.
Thank you, Tucker.
So the Jeffrey Epstein story has kind of receded from public view. Why is that exactly? We don't even know answers to basic questions like how Jeffrey Epstein gets so rich and who protected him. We are learning a little more, and we want to bring you the latest tonight. The attorney representing dozens of Epstein's victims joins us to pick away at this mystery. We'll be right back.
If you've served in the military, first responder, or law enforcement communities, then join GovX.com. On GovX.com, you'll find all the gear you need for your on- and off-duty life. Become a member and save on hundreds of brands. If you qualify, join for free at GovX.com.
Many doctors and specialists recommend eating a diet rich in fruits and vegetables because they are scientifically proven to provide your body with numerous benefits. Inside